Hey there, welcome back to Move with Joe. Today I have a story about one of my clients who has been struggling with developing knee pain, particularly right across the center of the knee. She started increasing her squatting and lunging routine, mostly bodyweight squats, and started to develop this discomfort across the front of her knee. Now, after having her do a few, I quickly realized that she was in more of a quad dominant pattern, meaning when she was squatting, she was starting off by bending her knees first, and so that's loading the quads. And if you know your anatomy, your quads attach at the top of the hip here and then come across the kneecap through the patellar tendon and attach into the front of the tibia here. So when you start doing a lot of quad dominant movements like this, or a front lunge, where you start to bend the knee fairly far forward, you're putting a lot of force and compression across the knee joint here. So in a quick little assessment, we looked at how she could start hinging more through her hips, and when she starts to engage in bodyweight squats, instead of starting with the knees bending forward, we had her simply begin to drive the hips back. And so she had to first figure out where are her hips and how she hinges through those hips. And as I drive my hips back, you can see my knees are pretty much staying in place until I get quite a bit lower into the squat, and then I come back up. So after doing this simple activity and looking at the difference between a quad dominant, almost to the point of a collapse where you're letting go, bending the knee, letting everything drop, and then the quads having to respond by contracting and catching you, staying in more of a controlled movement by driving the hips back. And so then you get that counterbalance of the torso coming forward into that squat and then coming back. And so just that simple little change in direction and how she initiated the movement, she no longer had pain doing the movement of the squat or the lunge. For the lunge, she was letting her knee drive way far forward in the lunge. And so what we focused on was, instead of doing these movements where she was in a more dynamic range going back and forth, I had her just start with developing a better sense of form, so that we just started in a split stance and then had her drive the back knee down to the ground, maintaining roughly about a 90-degree angle in the front knee here. So by slowing down the movement, understanding the mechanics of how you're hinging through your hips, how you're tracking through your knees, these are all the things that help to reduce any type of inflammatory process where you're putting too much force across the front of the knee joint here. So hope you enjoyed and learned a few things. I'd love it if you subscribe and hit the like button, and I'll talk to you soon.